everyone, welcome back to my place. This is my third episode of a story time, and today I'm going to tell you the birth story of my second baby, first daughter. Her name is Lillian, and I'm just going to share with you guys a little bit about how she came into this world. If you have not seen my last birth story video, go check it out. It's of our son, and we did a home birth with him, and also we did a home birth with Lillian. So we're just going to get right into it. Lily was born in September of 2015. Her due date was September 22nd, but she came on September 25th. But I am going to start 2 weeks before she arrived because she was a little trickster. She put me in false labor quite a few times before she decided to really come into this world. So about 2 weeks before she was born, I remember I was sitting with my family. I think I was eating dinner, and I was getting contractions, and they were not just like Braxton Hicks contractions. They were painful, extremely painful. And it was like really out of nowhere just started coming, and they were extremely painful, and it may have just been because of the position she was in. I don't really know, but I remember they were really hard. I had to breathe through them. I couldn't talk while I was having one, and they were like lasting a minute long and like 5 minutes apart and stuff like that. And I remember I was like, okay, I'm gonna start timing these because this feels like it's gonna be labor. And so I just started timing, and it was like an hour and a half of them going. And so I decided to call my midwife, and I just kind of told her what was going on, and she's like, okay, I'll call you back in about, 30 minutes or an hour or something. And during that time, literally probably like within a few minutes after I got off the phone with her, the contractions stopped. And I was like, what? That is so weird. And I guess it's a normal thing. My midwife said, she's like, yeah, that happens a lot. Often the mom will call the midwife and the contractions stop. It's apparently normal. I don't know. But so that happened, and then I'm gonna say like a week later, maybe not even, it happened again. I was getting horrible contractions, and they were like lasting a long time, and they were like, it was like contractions. Like anyone who has gone through labor, the whole timing them thing, making sure they're lasting a minute long, 5 minutes apart for an hour or whatever. And so it happened again, and so I called my midwife, I told her what was going on again, and then once again, contractions stopped. And then I think that was only twice that it happened, and then the third time was actual labor. But so the third time rolls around, it's like 4 in the morning, and I start getting contractions, and I wake up to them, and they're awful contractions, really painful, and I wasn't convinced that I was labor, so I just kind of tried to sleep through them. I just waited until they went away. But this time around, so that was like at 4. It was probably like 4 hours later. I didn't call until like probably 8:30 in the morning to tell her, okay, I'm pretty sure this is it because it's been a while. They're really painful, this and that. And she's like, okay, I'll call the other midwife, tell her what's going on, and then we'll get back to you. And probably an hour and a half later, no, it was like an hour later, she calls me back, and I wasn't getting them actually. They did stop, or they started like slowing down, getting further apart or whatever. And she's like, okay, so she's like, if they don't pick up again in an hour, I'm still gonna come out and check and see what's going on, because it was the third time this happening. So, but within an hour they started back up again, and by 12:30 they were there, and my mom was picking up my son and taking him. She happened to be off of work, thank goodness. And so she was picking up him. The midwives showed up, and they decided they were going to check me. And I was already dilated to an 8. So you can only imagine, for those of you that have been through labor and stuff, you can only imagine how quick everything went after this. So I was dilated to an 8. The baby was really high up though. She wasn't like dropping or anything like that. So my midwife was like, I want you to go for a quick walk she's like, power walk through about 5 contractions. Now, I just want to remind you guys, I was not doing medicated labor. It was all natural labor. And by the time you're dilated to an 8, that's like the worst contractions are going to get. They might get a little more painful, but that's pretty much the extent of the pain. And so I was like, you want me to go walk through these awful contractions? But that's what I did to get the baby to drop down. We went for a quick walk, and then when I got back from that's when things really started progressing. I started throwing up, which obviously when you throw up, it pushes everything down, so the baby got pushed down more and more. And then and then she checked me again, and I was at a 10, I think, or like close to it at least, and she's like, okay, if you want, I can break your water, or you can just, wait until it comes out with the baby fully intact and everything. And I was like, no, just go ahead and break it. And she's like, okay. Breaks my water, and I'm in the pool. I decided to get in the pool and labor in the pool, and I could tell that it was time to push her out. There was pressure. I could feel it, everything. And within, I want to say, 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes of breaking my water, she was born. I gave birth to her in the pool, which is awesome. It was it was an interesting experience, I'll put it that way, because compared to my last one, I gave birth on the floor, and then this one, it was in the pool, and the pushing process was way different because my body was like floating, and so it was really hard to grasp how to push and prevent my body from floating up, and it was the weirdest thing, and it was very difficult to push. And I remember she was like almost completely out, and I don't even know, like I could not do the last push to get her out. Like my body was in so much pain and couldn't figure it out that I was just like trying, but I was stuck. And so my midwife like just pushed down on my belly to just get the baby out, and that's how she came out. But yeah, so it was really nice. As soon as like we got her, she started crying. I held her, and it was a way different experience because she like just started crying right away. For my son, if you go watch that video, you'll see that he didn't start crying right away. But yeah, so I'm holding her, we were just relaxing. And oh yeah, something I didn't mention is for both of my first 2 kids, we didn't find out the gender until they were born. And so I pick up the baby and I'm just holding her, and probably maybe 5 to 10 minutes of just snuggling her. I didn't know if it was a boy or a girl. And so my midwife was like, okay, you guys, let's find out the gender. So we turned her and look at her, and it was just such a cool experience. And I loved not like finding out right away. And just waiting until they were here to find out the gender. It's like and it's just really neat. So, and also, I have a history of hemorrhages from my first birth. So with this one, what they did before I gave birth, they put in an IV port in my wrist. So that way it was ready for if I did start having a hemorrhage, they could give me, I'm pretty sure it's Pitocin is what they give you to slow down the bleeding. So they got me out of the pool, they got me settled in my bed, and then they started the IV to just make sure everything was in good order and it wasn't like craziness. So yeah, it was a much quicker labor. My active labor started, I want to say 11 in the morning, and she was born by like 3:15 in the afternoon. So it was really quick. It was the most peaceful birth that I had at that point so far, It was so just calming, and it was just me, my husband, and 2 midwives, and it was just relaxing. Like, to be honest, she came like so quickly that it was probably more painful because of how fast she came, but it was just so relaxing. It's really weird to like explain that to someone. It's like, how is it relaxing? But it was a great experience. So that's how she came. It was really quick, really easy, and yeah, we actually didn't pick out her name until the day after she was born. She ends up being Lillian Hope is her first and middle name, and she's just an amazing little girl. So yeah, that's the birth story. It's not as long as the other one, I know, but yeah, so if you guys have any questions, once again, when it comes to home birth or water birth or anything like that, let me know. Give this video a like and subscribe. I have another awesome video story coming. It's actually going to be a 3-parter. My third baby, second daughter. I'm going to be sharing her birth story, but she has a whole medical history that I am so excited to share with you guys and to just spread awareness of this specific thing that she has. So please subscribe, click the bell so you're notified, and it's going to be, like I said, a 3-parter, so there's going to be 3 separate videos for her coming starting next week. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave some comments of any questions you may have or video suggestions that you would like to see. Also, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!